Okay guys, got another update video. This time we're not in the garage. We're in my living room on the floor doing what, in my opinion, just one EV converter, EV converter, in my opinion, is the worst part of doing an electric car conversion. I can do the fabrication, I can do the welding, I can make brackets all day, I can do all that stuff, but the thing I dread doing is the 12-volt system, the integration of the electric drivetrain, drive unit, the inverter, the charger, DC-DC converter, all those things. The integration of all that into the existing vehicle. It's a pain. I don't like it, but it's something you have to do. Not everything in this business is glamorous, but just like everything in this business, it's very satisfying once you are done because you know what it took to get you there. In this particular build, different from the Ranger that I did, or if you've watched me before, if you know about EVTV, I did a yellow Doka, did a Tesla-powered Volkswagen Doppelganger, and I basically ran my own 12-volt system through it with its own separate fuse blocks and cat and relays and all that stuff. But on this conversion, whenever you open the hood, I want it to look like it was made that way. There's a couple ways you can go about wiring your 12-volt system. One way is that you have a power source on the left side and you need power on the right side, so you just run a wire from the left side to the right side. And that's fine. That works. That definitely works. Now, I don't like that method because you are definitely going to show this car to your friends. You're going to show it to your relations, your friends. You may take it to a car show, but people are going to want to see this thing. So you're going to open the hood, and if it looks like a mess, it looks like a mess. Don't want it to look like a mess. The other way is to kind of do it like I did in my Ranger or in the Doka, where you partially integrate into the existing system, but you also have external parts, external relays and wiring and fuses and stuff. What I want to do on this TJ, on this Jeep, is integrate it completely into the existing wiring harness. So any extra relays that I might need for the drive unit or for the charger or the DC-DC converter, I'm going to use fuses that I don't need from the original vehicle, like the fuel pump fuse. I don't need a fuel pump fuse, or I don't need a relay for that. There's a auto ASD, auto start disable or something like that. I don't need that, but I can use that for something else. And that's what I'm going to do. In fact, in my particular fuse block under the engine or under the hood, there were a few spots that were empty. And so I went on to eBay and I bought another wiring harness for a Jeep Wrangler. And I took all the connectors out of that fuse block and put it into my fuse block so I can use relays that I couldn't use before. Yeah, so that's the old TJ from eBay. Here is the wiring harness for the Tesla drive unit. Stealth EV did a really nice job of labeling all their wires. They make it pretty straightforward. They don't provide with any kind of documentation or wiring harness, wiring diagram. That's very annoying. I really, really hope they do that, because apparently this drive unit has a Wi-Fi signal that you can use your smartphone to do something with. Don't even know what that looks like. This is not a Tesla kit for the weak of heart. You kind of need to know what you're doing. There's nothing, basically. There's nothing. But, I kind of do know what I'm doing, sort of. So, that's that. Here is the service manual for Jeep Wrangler. And then I also went online and downloaded the breakout of what the fuses do in the car. And when I got my fuse block, then I was able to see what colors they are coming off of those fuses, and I can mark the ones that I'm not going to use. And then over here, I made a list of all the relays that I think I was going to need. I'm going to need a relay that turns on the brake lights. The drive unit itself will send a signal, and a signal could be either a low side signal or ground, or it can be a 12 volt. Generally speaking, signals from devices are low side or ground. So your relay will be powered, and then you'll just provide the ground to make the relay work and do something. So it'll tell my brake light relay to turn on. I'll also need one for reverse. I've got a vacuum pump that I got to power. Power steering pump needs power, of course. DC-DC enable, a charger, water pump, a drive unit, water pump, and a battery water pump. If I decide to do all three, I think I may combine the drive unit and the charger into one system. The charger and the DC-DC are one unit, so they are together. I also need fog lights, and then I've got 400 volt system also. I've got the heating element. At some point I may have an air conditioner, and I'm going to have some sort of a battery heater, some sort of a block heater like you'd use on a diesel engine in the winter. So it'll heat the coolant flowing through the batteries. That part itself will be 110 volts AC. And there's also a pre-charge circuit. Whenever you do an electric car AC motor, the inverter has a pre-charge in it. It's got giant capacitors, and you can't just turn them on, or there'll be a huge inrush of current and it'll burn out your contactors. So, yeah, so that's what I've got. And this is just such a daunting thing because you've got this horrible rat's nest of wires, and oh man. So this little zip tied off part are all the wires that from either relays or fuses that aren't being used anymore. Like I said, the fuel pump and the automatic shutdown relay, all that stuff. The ones going up that way go to under the dashboard or in the engine compartment or whatever. I also went through and removed all the connectors that I don't need anymore that would have gone to the engine or the engine control unit or whatever. So did that. Need to get you a label maker if you don't have one, heat gun, an assortment of side cutters and wire strippers, and over yonder is a box full of connectors. I prefer the crimp connectors. Crimp connecting is just a damn sight easier than soldering. It takes a whole lot less. It's a lot just easier. But I like the ones that you heat shrink the outer part of it. And the ones I've got, not only is it a heat shrink on there, but it's got like this goo inside of it. So whenever you heat shrink it, it heats up the goo, and then the goo seals the connector from the elements. So, yeah. So I've already assigned some of these. I'm just going to let this video linger a little bit. I've already made some assignments for fuses and circuit breakers. So here's just another list that I made of stuff that I need to do, stuff that I'll need. For example, the automatic shutdown relay, I've assigned that to the drive unit key switch enable, basically the ignition. The drive unit needs to know when you turn the key on. The DC-DC enable, and the BMS, it's called ready power. Orion calls it ready power, but it's the same thing, just the key switch. The starter on the Jeep had its own relay in there, and I'm just going to take the wires from that and use it so whenever you turn the key to the run position and then you turn it forward one more to start your engine, that is going to complete the circuit for the drive unit to tell it to go. I've got an ABS pump relay in there, and I'm going to use that for power steering. The fuel pump relay is going to be for the drive unit and water pump, and there's a fuel pump. I've labeled it fuel pump 2, but it's just one of those empty blocks that I was talking about. It's right next to where the fuel pump relay is, and I'm going to use that for the battery system water pump. So anyway, incredibly daunting, but eventually you assign one relay to a thing or one fuse to a new thing, and that's just one less. And then you do another one, and then that's two, and so on. Before you know it, you're done. And that's cool. And then I'll transport all this stuff over to the garage, put it in the engine compartment, take the harness for the drive unit, connect it to the drive unit, and just have another mess, and we'll do another video at that time. But that's where we're at for now. Thanks for watching. Stay with me.